Missed it. I got in a fight with Jeremy. No, I wanted to punch him in the face, though, because he was being like, he called me a dumbass for wearing my princess tiara, and I was like, I'm gonna punch you in the motherfucking face, and then that was an option. I was like, I'm just gonna blow my noisemaker at him, because I've never punched anybody in the face in my life. What's up, bitches? Welcome back to Our Life Beginning and Always. It's been 2 days since I've talked to Cove. 2 days! Going through withdrawals over here. Now, something was said in the last time we were going through our moments, and that was noted by Ari Master 870, who sits behind me every time I play this game. So a discovery has been made. I'm gonna tease him. That's how I flirt. It's like general teasing. I'm flirting with Cove. Oh no! And that discovery will alter the way that we play this game moving forward. I also learned that this company is going to be adding more content into this game, which makes me super excited and really happy to be playing it at this point in time. They're making an Our Life 2, so we're going to get a whole brand new game. They plan to put in a playable character that's either a boy or a girl, and then you can also have your love interest be a boy or a girl, which is going to be super fun. So excited for that to come. I'm obsessed with this game and everything that this game is. So let's jump in. Let's have a motherfucking birthday party. It was a pleasant afternoon. Sun shone brightly and the breeze tugged lightly at the balloons strung around the park. You and Cove had just been dropped off at Miranda Eckert's birthday party. You didn't really know Miranda. Last year was the first time you had a class with her, and everyone at school knew her as quiet, shy girl stuck to her own friend group like glue. It had been a surprise that she was having such a big party. You looked around the expansive park, a spacious recreation center in the next town over, and noticed a bouncy castle. Miranda had a bit of a reputation for not caring if she acted mature like other teens sometimes did. It made a certain amount of sense that her party would match that. I would have a motherfucking bouncy house at my party now, bish. You thought Miranda was sweet. You thought Miranda was weird. You didn't have an opinion of Miranda. You wanted to get to know Miranda better. Well, bring on the bouncy castles, bitches. Maybe at this party you'd have a chance to make friends with her. You were excited at the thought. You hadn't had a choice in coming here today. Your moms insisted on it after you got the invitation, as Cove's mom and dad. So both you and he were driven over to the next town with presents in tow. All of the parents had been pretty firm about going to a birthday if you'd been invited. You agreed it was best to attend. You wondered if it was an adult thing. You were happy to be here. Wished you were somewhere else. Felt out of place. You were willing to give it a chance. I'm going to go with that one, because it sounds like I'm pretty skeptical here. Little baby me is pretty skeptical, so we'll go there. You had just arrived at the party after all. You couldn't see the future. It could turn out to be fun, or it could turn out to be a disaster. You would wait and see. Cove made a small noise which caught your attention. He looked around, scanning the area. He fidgeted with his gift in hand. Any idea what we're supposed to do with these? You looked at your own present, and then towards the seating area. There was a table filled with snacks and drinks, supplies for various party games. Past all that, you spotted one table in the back that seemed to have a truckload of gifts. Pointed that out to Cove. Let's drop the presents over there, where all the other presents are. Cove? That might work. Cove shrugged. He didn't look interested in the subject, even if you had just answered his question. All right. He moved forward and headed for the gift table. You followed with your present in hand. You walked past groups of people. Classmates in semicircles broken up into individual friend groups chatted away. That is something that never does change, let me just tell you. Society. You, or maybe Cove, received the occasional greeting or friendly nod. However, as you passed by even more people that you had never seen before, you became aware that there were more strangers here than not. It was more crowded than you expected. Miranda Eckert, the quiet girl, was hosting the most populated birthday party you had been to in a long time. You looked at the new faces and thought you saw something of Miranda in them. Cousins, nieces, nephews maybe? Parties could be a big deal in her family. The both of you reached the table. You set your gift down in an empty space, brushing some confetti aside, and Cove placed his gently next to it. He looked at the present thoughtfully. Oh, what did you get her? Before you had a chance to answer, Cove opened his mouth again and tapped his gift. I found this sparkly backpack. I figured she could use it for school or a trip or something. Your moms had taken you out shopping the other day. You'd searched through the store and ultimately picked out a stuffed animal. That is something I would do. Grabbed a necklace and bracelet set. Lighthearted adventure book. That's also something I would do. Chose a yarn craft kit that made a toy. Oh, well, see, I would want that, but I don't know about Miranda. Moms didn't appreciate what you had picked and chose something else. Well, my mom's like me, so gosh, I think stuffed animals are really good. But like, who doesn't like a good plush? The wide eyes of the otter plush had called to you. You weren't sure what in its face made you think of Miranda, but it seemed appropriate. Your moms had agreed that it was a fine present, and Ma helped you wrap it. You described it to Cope briefly, and he had no objections. Not a bad idea. But I don't know much about gifts. You both let that sit between you. Eventually, you nodded. Yeah, I get it. Without the direction of needing to put stuff away, the two of you weren't sure what to do next. You felt a little awkward, and Cove shrunk in on himself as he looked around. There were more guests heading to the present table, so you turned away and wandered over to a nearby tree where you wouldn't be in the way. From there, you both inspected the area and planned the next step. You were glad that Cove had been invited too. At least you had his company in this unfamiliar place. You watched him, and he gave you a nervous grin. It reassured you a little, and you smiled back. What next? Cove did not appreciate being put on the spot. He was just as insecure as you were. Birthday party stuff? It didn't seem to be time for cake, with people still arriving. Nothing else seemed to be organizing yet either. He noticed that himself and tried again. We could go find Miranda? That was an idea. It made sense to greet the birthday girl. Okay, we could say hello. Wish her happy birthday. Ask her what she wants people to do. With that point, it was decided. The Miranda hunt had begun. You wandered around. Anytime you saw someone with Miranda's hair color, you got a little closer. More than once, it turned out to not actually be her. Hey, look! Finally, he pointed over to the real Miranda. She smiled slightly when you both approached, but ducked her head. She seemed a little overwhelmed at being the center of attention today. She's so cute! She's so shy. Hi, Cove. Hi, French Fires. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Miranda.
I'm really glad you could come.
Oh, yeah, her voice is like a little and petite. You all stood awkwardly. Miranda did seem genuinely happy, but there was still a distance between you. So, are people just supposed to stand around?
Oh, well.
Oh, well,
People
you can talk to...
There
She's...
are games that are gonna start soon.
Yeah, she read that whole line for me. Thanks, Miranda. Giving me a break. And the bounce house should open later if you feel like jumping. And after that, it's cake and present time. We'll have ice cream, too. After that is when people will start going home. I hope that's okay with you guys. Cove nodded. He seemed a little more confident about the situation now. Thanks for letting us know. He grinned at her. She nodded back. Miranda waited there and you became hyper aware of the silence forming. You heard a shout for Randy and Miranda brightened up, a total 180 with how stiff she had been with you. The birthday girl ran off with her friend. The birthday girl ran off to her friend, leaving you and Cove with at least a little more idea of what to expect. You both glanced over at each other wordlessly. Felt a little disappointed. It's going to be hard to get to know Miranda better, with how in demand she was probably going to be today. Hopefully, you would get to talk to her later. All that was left now was finding something to fill time until the activities began. Tried to chat with people, you just talked with Cove, found a quiet spot to sit, you stood around where you were. When I was little, I was very anxious. I did not like new people or new situations. Now, I do try to talk to people, but then I would probably just hang out with Cove, because he's like the boy that I know. You started talking about how you felt about this kind of birthday party, and what you wanted to do for your next party. Cove made the occasional suggestion. The conversation became silly as you started joking about ridiculous party ideas. Cove wanted a moon party, and he wondered if anyone had ever tried to make a cake big enough to be the party location. Suddenly, a loud voice boomed over the crowd. The constant buzz of conversation dropped as one of the adults, maybe Miranda's dad, asked the kids to gather around because it was game time. I wonder what's gonna happen. Well, it's game time. Get your game face on, bro. You shrugged. You scanned the area to make a guess. You made a joke about something that wasn't going to happen. Well, we are joking, so I'm going to go with that. Jokey McJokester me. Oh, we're going to play high-stakes poker. It's obvious. Obvious, huh? Look at this crowd. Most of the guests were teenagers around your age, but there were also quite a few adults and some younger kids. Cove nodded sagely at the group of little kids. Yeah, those are high rollers. Just like you and the rest of your family. He smirked at that one. The adult announced that the children under 10 had the first turn on the bounce house. For everyone else, it was time to play Pin the Tail on the Donkey. Oh, got gypped out of my motherfucking bounce house. Cove raised his eyebrows. He was surprised for sure. You were excited, you thought it was silly, you were weirded out, you were fine with the game, you didn't know how this would go. I would probably think that's kind of silly now, because like, you know, when you're 13, you're like 13 going on 30, and even in my 30s, I don't really like this game. Like, I would play it, but I would be like, oh, yeah, this is such a kid's game. The fact that it was planned for a party full of teens was a little crazy. You reluctantly joined the line since that was what you were supposed to do, and you didn't feel like arguing. The donkey in question was a cartoony poster with big eyes that looked more like ping pong balls. It was positioned a few feet above the ground on a tree trunk. The teen who arrived first was blindfolded, then spun around. He was nudged to the side and away from the other kids so he wouldn't stick someone with the tail instead. Unfortunately for him, he placed the tail on the donkey's head like some kind of bizarre earring. He wouldn't be winning that far from the target. His next opponent did far better by landing it on the donkey's back. The spectators clapped politely, and the line moved up. More teens tried their hand at it. Some got closer than others, but no one had gotten it perfect yet. Soon it was Cove's turn. He was blindfolded and spun just like the others. At this point, it was a close match and everyone was watching with bated breath. Cove approached the donkey and stuck the tail on without any hesitation. Cove stood back and removed his blindfold, cheering when he saw how close he was. He turned his head over his shoulder and grinned at you. Your turn. Shook my head and stepped out of line. I'm gonna take a turn, motherfucker. I've been waiting in this line. The blindfold on the bright park became utterly dark. As you were spun around, the sounds around you seemed to get louder. At least you could tell the direction of the bounce house from the shrieks of the younger children. Stop spinning and step forward, tail in hand. It was time to give it a stab. Okay, well, if I'm here and the sign is in front of me, that means that the donkey's tail is going to be to the right. And I'm not terribly tall, so I don't have to go up or down. I'm going to go the right. The right, bitches, the right. You pressed the tail into the target and stepped back. Took your blindfold off to check your results. There was some more clapping from the audience. The tail wasn't too far off. Behind you, there were plenty enthusiastic "ooh," and a few people mentioned how close you got. You smiled and looked back at Cove. He seemed amused. His tail wasn't off by much either, and you couldn't tell which one of you was winning. They were just too nearby each other. A few more kids took their turn. One girl managed to somehow pin the tail on the opposite side of the tree. You were pretty sure it had been on purpose. With the line empty, the game was finally over. The adult running things started to inspect the donkey. At this point, the sign was more tails than donkey. In the end, someone you didn't know was announced as the winner. You and Cove both exchanged a look as you clapped politely. Huh? He sighed. Looked back at the board. I was so close, too. You were also disappointed. It was a good game. You shrugged it off. You teased him. Oh, I kind of want to tease him. Between saying it was a good game and teasing, and teasing is my first instinct. So that's how we're going to have to go. Someone's really down, especially over what's just a kid's game. Seriously, French fries? You grinned cheekily, and Cove eventually rolled his eyes and smiled too. He watched the winner and considered whether to say anything to them. He hesitated, however, and ended up not approaching the teen. An older teen walked up, tall enough to tower over you and Cove. You felt a little intimidated by this stern-faced teenager until she started to speak. Her voice was low but friendlier than her tough frown would suggest. Hi, I'm handing out party favors. Do you want one? She showed you party hats. She insisted that they were the key to a true partying mood. She had two options. Either a colorful headband with two tiny party hats arranged almost like ears, or a tiara with a star on it. They were both very festive. Cove's not about that. You knew the teen hadn't actually glared at him. Her defiant facial expression just seemed grim. I wanted one of the headbands. I picked a crown. I didn't want one. Look, if I've got a chance to be a pretty motherfucking princess, I'm gonna be a pretty motherfucking princess. Pointed to the crown, and the teenager passed it over to you with the solemnness of crowning a monarch. You encouraged Cove to pick one, then you let her go. I mean, he's gonna do him. He's gonna do what he wants to do. Both of you had made your decision, and that was it. The unknown teenager nodded approvingly at both. The unknown teenager nodded approvingly at you both and went to pass out hats to more people. You put the party hat on your hand with a smile, and it fit well. It was surprisingly comfortable. Looks good on you. I'm a party animal now. It doesn't look good on me. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm a party animal now. I'm the prettiest motherfucking princess. Of course. Cove nodded with a thoughtful look on his face. If the party spirit is contained in party hats, does that mean they're haunted? You snorted at the suggestion. You considered the hat on your head. It didn't seem haunted, but maybe that was what it wanted you to think. After that, the people in charge quickly set up the next game. Teenagers milled about until they were told to find partners. You tried to listen to the rules, straining your ears to listen to the adults announcing what you were supposed to do. It was a simple game. One person in a pair would throw candy, while the other had to catch it in their mouth. Oh, I'm fucking terrible at that game. Either side, I'm terrible. If they caught it, the pair would move on to the next round, where everyone would take a step back and the former catcher would become the thrower. The game would continue, players getting further and further until one set of partners were the only ones left standing, or everyone lost in a round. About half of the guests had already found partners. They moved fast. You noticed Cove had his eyes on you. He just stared at you expectantly, and you knew what he was getting at. Neither of you were all that familiar with anyone else here. It'd be the safe choice to pair up. Yeah, let's do it. Partner. He beamed, and you started wondering about your respective candy-catching capabilities. I was wondering that before. Oh, it's music! 2 rows of players facing each other formed. Cove tilted his head towards them, and you started to head over. You both lined up directly in front of each other. It took a while to pass out the candy. You were handed a small bag of gummies that smelled strongly fruity. You noticed Cove took it upon himself to do a taste test of a red one across from you. They're not bad. Should have waited. You tried one for yourself. What did it taste like? I'm going to ask him what it tastes like. Raspberry or cherry. It's red, so red. It tasted red. Strawberry? Maybe pomegranate? It was a mystery. Maybe you'd get a red one later. And then it was time to begin. Cove's row was set to throw first. He smiled nervously, his eyes wide with seriousness. You grinned, and Cove's smile looked more genuine and less filled with tenseness. The game was on. The adult in charge shouted for throwers to go. You and Cove were only a couple feet away from each other. Cove's careful toss, you caught the candy easily. Like you, most of the other players moved on to the next round. There were few gaps in the rows as everyone took a step back. The round was harder with pairs further apart, but not overly so. It could be done if both partners tried. You did your best. You had fun with it, but still tried. You threw the candy without a care. You made sure it missed. Who would make sure it missed? That's mean. I'm gonna go here, because that's where I live. Like, I'm not very good at tossing things. I'm just saying. You grabbed a candy and wanted to do a trick shot. Cove must have noticed something in your expression because he raised an eyebrow. You threw the blue candy from hand to hand, then high in the air. Very quickly as it was coming down, you slapped it towards Cove. He jerked to the side to catch it. Despite his worry, your shot had landed true. Cove laughed with amusement at your toss, or the fact that he had caught it, or possibly both. From his face, you knew he was at least excited to get to the next round. The next round began. Oh, you look so serious, Cove. The next round began, and you took another step back. Cove was even further away now, but he made an okay sign. He was in it to win it. Okay, I better fucking straighten up then, because this motherfucker's in it to win it. I'm just saying. Around you, the once packed rows of players had thinned out some. You wondered how many rounds everyone had left in them. Cove swung his arm and made contact with you. You nodded, and the green candy flew towards you. You tried your best to catch it. You casually tried to catch the candy. You refused to have a green candy in your mouth. I gotta try my best. In it to win it. You followed the arc of the candy and opened your mouth wide. It had a slight spin on it, and you tilted your head to the left to compensate. You bit down on the candy, grinning with your victorious catch. It tasted sweet and vaguely like a Slurpee. Yeah, French fries! Cove was thrilled. He was entirely invested in the game at this point. You and Cove were still in the game. You knew this was the final round. Only a few other pairs were still left. Cove was determined to win. You could see it in the clench of his jaw, the careful way he watched you. You were charmed. You equally wanted to win. You didn't want to let him down. You thought it was kind of funny. You felt nervous. I mean, it's between this and this. I'm gonna go charmed. He hasn't seemed really serious or super interested in anything, and so that's good to see. We'll go there. You liked having a partner that was so into the game. His determination sparked something in you. Admiration? An answering desire to win? You weren't sure. Cove gave you a firm grin and you prepared to throw. Your fingers grabbed an orange gummy from the bag. It felt solid in your grasp, even if your hand was starting to get sticky from touching all the sugary sweets. Cove leaned his face towards you and bent his knee, ready to catch. The time came. You looked at the candy, and then at Cove. I'm gonna try my best. Cove followed the candy with his eyes. Your throw unfortunately spun out to the side. It looked like a loss was on the horizon. But he made a move for it, and it was good. He snatched the candy out of the air with the corner of his mouth. A wide grin spread on his face as Cove victoriously chomped down on the candy. Yes! Along with the cheer, he jumped up in excitement and pumped one arm. A beat passed, and then he realized just how loud he'd been. Cove turned red and brought one of his hands up to his face. He got it. You looked to your left and then to your right. You saw the few remaining pairs walking away, commiserating over their losses. With some shock, you realized that you and Cove were the only ones who had made it to that round. You won. You watched the moment Cove clicked into the same realization. His face brightened like sunshine, and he jogged over to close the distance between you. You stepped closer to meet him halfway. High five, put an arm around him, jumped into a hug. That is something attack hug! He hates when you ruffle his hair. I'm gonna attack hug him. I'm doing it, bitches. His eyes went big when he realized you were going in for a hug. He smiled and caught you, hugging you back tightly. You'd won this together. He giddily stomped his feet in place in front of you as though he couldn't contain his energy. We did it! You adjusted the hat that had nearly fallen off throughout the event. Nice catch. Woo, we demolished the competition. Nice catch, because I threw that like a bish. Nice throw! Oh, that's so sweet. It wasn't, but thank you. The game runner strolled over and merrily gave you both a bunch more candy on top of letting you keep the gummy bags. It was quite the collection. The candy toss over, you are going to need something else to do. You didn't have to wait long. You heard someone in the crowd shout that the bounce house was officially open for older kids. Yeah, motherfucker, I'm so excited. You and Cove shared a look. Cove smiled, and you knew he wanted in. You both ran over to the Belsey Castle and kicked your shoes off. You crawled up into the inflated castle with Cove hot on your heels. There were a couple of other teens inside already. You started to get a feel for bouncing. Cove hopped from the middle to the side and back. Just after you landed from a particularly high jump, someone else snuck in. It was the birthday girl herself. Hi, Miranda. Hello, hi, birthday girl. You waved. Hi, birthday girl. That's something I would say. Miranda looked happy. She waved both her hands at you with a megawatt grin. I hope you're having fun. She hopped around with her hands in front of her like a kangaroo. It was a surprisingly effective way to clear distance in the bounce house. She then jumped high, kicked both her legs out to the side, and touched the tips of her toes with her fingers. Wow! Miranda hadn't run out of tricks yet. She jumped a couple more times, gaining height, before doing a backflip and tucking into a ball. She managed to land on her feet, but didn't stick the landing. She tumbled back and fell on her butt. Cove clapped and Miranda inclined her head almost like a bow. She was back to jumping in no time. You're so good at this! She bounced close enough to the two of you to talk without shouting across the way. Cove's bouncing slowed down to accommodate their conversation.
And we have a trampoline in the backyard.
You're so lucky. That's really cool. I want to do flips too. I don't have the capacity to do flips. So I'm going to say that's really cool. That is genuinely cool. Miranda giggled a bit and then her eyes sparkled. Hey, I can launch someone if you want. If I jump in front of you, then your bounce will go higher. Yeah, do it, bish. Do it, bish. Sure. Miranda leaped over to you, her excitement clear on her face. Cove watched with interest. She explained more clearly how this was supposed to work. You got ready to bounce on her cue. 1, 2, 3! The moment she came down, you jumped high. The force of her, just as she had said, helped launch you up. The air rushed past your face, and then you were coming back down. Your feet hit the bounce house hard enough to help launch Miranda up a little as well. She giggled some more, and the two of you took turns bouncing each other up. Cove clapped, or offered suggestions, but it was beginning to come clear that he wanted a turn too. Miranda invited him to join and tried to synchronize your bounces to launch Cove up higher. The first time resulted in everyone crashing down in a pile of laughs. By the fifth attempt, Cove managed to catch some serious airtime. Whoa! You all had fun bouncing around. You twirled. Miranda did stunts. Cove futilely tried to touch the highest tip of the castle ceiling. You and Cove chatted to Miranda more than you had ever at school. She truly was the queen of this bouncy castle. Whenever someone did something cool, everyone would cheer. If you fell, others would help you up. Eventually, more people wanted to take turns in the bounce house, so you and Cove left. As you slipped on your shoes, you saw Miranda get drawn into conversation with a group of adults. She would be talking with them for a while. You and Cove decided to take a break and hydrate. Went to the party table and grabbed some ice water. Cove handed you a party noisemaker he picked up from the same table. He blew on his and it made a funny sound when it unrolled. Cove downed his drink with a couple gulps. He'd gotten pretty into bouncing after all. You were still sipping on your water when Cove blew his noisemaker again, and again, and again. It was almost a tune. You didn't recognize any particular melody, but a noisemaker also isn't an instrument. The noise cut through the hum of the other party guests, loud and noticeable. Asked Cove to stop. I would not do that. I would probably blow mine back at his, and then we would have like a noisemaker polite fight. That's how that would go down. You blew hard enough to unfurl the paper completely straight. It jutted towards Cove, almost tapping his chin. Cove wasn't going to let that stand. He retaliated and blew his back at you. It nearly touched your nose. It was a game now. What did I say? Noisemaker polite fight! Both of you tried to land a light hit on the other. Cove managed to get your chin while you scored right between his eyes.
You people again.
Is it Jeremy? It's Toad's Jeremy, isn't it? Someone vaguely familiar shouted and you snapped your heads to the side. Cove's noisemaker dropped from his mouth. The speaker stepped up and there was no doubt it was Jeremy. That mean boy you met at the start of the summer. Groaned, "Oh hey, it's the Bullcat Kid!" You felt uncomfortable and didn't know what to do. instantly got angry, tried to ignore Jeremy. You tried being polite. No, I'm gonna insult him. I don't give no fucks. Jeremy's scowl told you everything about what he thought of the moniker. Why are you here? Cove's tone was defensive. You watched Jeremy's face turn slack, as if Cove's question was the idiocy above all idiocies. Didn't I already explain this? Hadn't, so both of you and Cove exchanged a look. Do you have memory loss, or are you really that stupid? Seriously.
Walk here.
My parents brought me. Apparently, I couldn't just stay inside like I wanted. No, they insisted that I got out and enjoy the day and have fun on vacation, blah, blah, blah. He said enjoy the day and have fun on vacation, like some people would say scrub the entire bathroom or listen to an off-key singer for 10 hours. They found a park 'cause I hate the beach. Too bad I also hate parks. Ugh, it's dirty here. I don't know anything. Oh, and then they saw this stupid party and decided to bother some adults by asking what was going on. They think maybe I could be included. It's moronic. Get it now? That's how my parents are. Annoying and embarrassing. Why would anybody want strangers at their birthday? Why can't they ever just leave things alone? Huffed loudly, and his eyebrows shot daggers at some grown-ups that presumably were his parents. Yeah, that's it. Really awkward? That doesn't sound bad. All you do is complain about it. Sucks to be you. You tried to be friendly. You didn't bother responding. I mean, I kind of want to go here. It's between these two, because it doesn't sound bad. Or all you can do is complain about it. I'm going to go that one, because he hasn't given me any reason to be nice to him. So we're going to go there. Shut up! Jeremy's eyes slipped away from you, taking the rest of the park for a bit. It was a little awkward. It was possible he didn't know what to do, but then he spoke again. How can people really go running around in those embarrassing party hats? Do they think it's fun or something? How could a human being be so dumb? Jeremy shook his head and glanced at Cove's lack of hat. I guess that's one brain point for you. Look, bish, I'm the prettiest motherfucking princess, and it's kind of nice to do party stuff, so jog on. Jeremy scoffed, unimpressed. The expression on his face was nasty as he spoke. I'm not surprised an empty-headed person like you would think that. Jeremy looked over to you, completely dismissive. It was so rude, you couldn't help but feel offended. Cove's face hardened. He seemed more offended that when anyone actually insulted him personally. Just because you don't know how to be happy doesn't mean no one else does. And it's not our fault if you hate everything. It's not okay for you to take it out on French fires. She isn't doing anything wrong. You are. Jeremy seemed unfazed by Cove's defense and sniffled. French fires can humiliate herself on her own. She don't need you to step in and do it for her. I'm gonna punch you in the motherfucking face, bro. I'm gonna show you embarrassment. Poured your drink on Jeremy. You pushed Jeremy. You punched Jeremy in the face. I want to do all those things. Since we were just having a noisemaker polite fight, I would probably noisemaker him. I have never once poured a drink on anyone. I have never once pushed someone. I've never once punched someone in anger. So I'm gonna have to go with the noisemaker. Y'all both. I can't make the noisemaker noise. We'll go with that. Y'all. It didn't take long for him to piece together that you weren't going to let him speak without interruption. He shut his mouth tough and finally stopped talking. Oh, that was the word, though. No, and tough. You know, it's the same word. You're a dick. Oh, you are a dick. I would not have said that when I was 13, though. You're ruining someone's birthday. I'm gonna find your parents. I'm also not a tattly-tattle motherfucker. Don't you say anything like that ever again. You laughed. You said nothing. It's not my birthday party. I'm not a tattly tattle. This is just gonna hang him on, so I'm gonna laugh. We're gonna go with laugh. People were starting to watch what was going down. Your argument wasn't exactly quiet at this point. Why don't you just leave us alone if we're so awful? Jeremy glared even more and huffed. Talking to you is pointless. He stalked off like the last time you saw him, muttering under his breath. You blew your noisemaker after him with a final long bye-bye, bish. Cove sighed in relief after Jeremy was gone. He relaxed, but only for a moment. He noticed just how much attention you'd drawn from the other guests. Luckily, it hadn't gone on long enough to get a real crowd. A concerned adult in a blue button-up shirt approached you and asked who that was and if everyone was all right. I'm fine. Cove looked at you cautiously, asking just as much as the adults if you were okay. You stared out the window, watching the scenery pass by as your mom drove down the quiet streets at a leisurely pace. A singer crooned sweetly from the radio, turned low enough that you could block it out if you wanted. You turned away from the window when your mom suddenly spoke up. Well, kids, are you excited about going to the library? Yeah, I was super excited at 13 to go to the library. Mom laughed, catching your eye in the rearview mirror and winking. I don't know why I asked. I already knew how you felt about it. Taking a trip down to the library had always been something you enjoyed. What about you, Cove? You're part of the conversation, too. Not really. If I didn't have school stuff to do, I would probably be somewhere else. I wasn't so keen on the library in my day, either. Really? Well, no. Unless you count under 6 years old as my day. She grinned over at the two of you briefly. Mom refocused on driving, humming along with the radio under her breath. You went back to staring outside. As you passed one street, you caught a glimpse of someone in brightly colored clothing passing out balloon animals. It sparked a faraway memory, and you felt your lips twitching up before consciously remembering why. How long ago was it that you and Cove watched the amazing Alexander performing magic tricks? Cove waited, and you took the moment to elaborate. Alexander, the amazing Alexander, he gave us dolphin balloons for free. At this reminder, Cove smiled faintly. Oh, yeah. Wonder if he's even there now. Maybe we should go more often to check. Maybe. You couldn't help the way your smile curled up higher at the sentiment. You wanted to say something else, but couldn't quite think of what. So, you just settled back into your seat. When silence filled the car again, you returned your attention to the window. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. You leaned your face to the sunshine, tempted to close your eyes as the gentle rays warmed your cheeks. French fires? Huh? You lifted yourself up a bit more, seeing your mom twisting her torso to face you, confused from the front seat of the car. Next to you was nothing. Cove's car door was already open. You had reached the destination before you even realized it. I was asking what time I should pick you two up. Oh, 4 should be okay. That should give you enough time to finish your summer assignments, or at least make a large enough dent. Thanks, Mom. You hopped out of the car, remembering to grab your backpack at the last second. Have fun, you two. Be well. You closed the door, giving a little wave, and she waved back. You're going to make sure that you understood the material forwards and backwards, or else your grades might not be what you need them to be. The two of you went right to the door of the library. Cove reached it first and tugged it open, stepping inside. He kept it propped open so you could pass through behind him. Aw, he's such a gentleman. The air was much cooler inside the building than it had been a few seconds you spent outdoors. The space was filled with the soft din of papers being moved and whispered voices. Hey, you seem kind of distracted on the ride here. Just enjoying the day. Excited to see Derek. Want to walk around for a bit. Well, I was just enjoying the day, Nosy McNosy Pants. Cove looked dubious at the vague answer. Okay. What? You don't think it's nice out? I do. Your study buddy was standing at the front of the library by a long rack of magazines. Predictably, he was flipping through one of the various sports players on the cover, looking intense enough to burst off the page. His head snapped up when you walked over, beaming wildly. Hey, French fries, man. Cove. Hi. Were you waiting for a while? Not super long, man. Derek put the magazine back in its place. Then he gestured to the space at his side. Most of the tables were empty, only a few people leafing through books. Plenty of room, man. In unspoken agreement, the three of you started moving towards the seating area, Derek taking 2 steps for every one of Cove's. Oh, guess what? Pretty sure I mastered the fake shot, man. Show you some other time. Derek looked over to gauge the level of interest. Do you know it, man? Soccer's not really for me. All of the sporty stuff Cove liked was beach-related. Surfing, snorkeling, bodyboarding. And he'd never played games that involved working on a team. Even volleyball had to be one-on-one. How does it go? Derek's eyes flashed with excitement as he explained. Well, move the ball like you're gonna go one way, man, and then... He demonstrated by running a few steps ahead, showing off some fancy footwork. You do it like this, so it does it like that, man. You laughed, bobbing your head at his attempt to get the trick across with no ball. Shh! The three of you looked over to the checkout desk. The librarian stood behind it and was wearing a deep frown. Felt bad, you were apologetic. You didn't think it was a big deal. I'm apologetic. You mouthed, and she sighed before turning back to the book she was reading. Derek scratched his cheek, choosing not to let that derail things. So, what you guys gonna work on, man? What weren't you working on? There was some things you had gotten to start with. You had yet to start a single assignment. Because you didn't feel like it. So me, I would have probably started, if not finished by now, because I don't like to do that. So probably here. It was still early in the summer, so there was a lot left. History, math, I don't care, I don't know. I would probably say my math for last, because I'm fucking terrible at math. The atmosphere was good for studying, and you felt motivated to tackle them. There's some summer reading, too. I have to go through an assigned book. But I'm gonna do that later, since it doesn't need extra references or anything. What about you two? I've got a few worksheets, man. They look pretty easy. My school gave us 3 books to read. Can I just stick with one? I'm gonna do a timeline for history. You all found a table close to the tall bookshelves. Set up camp. Within seconds, pencils and folders and books were strewn out on the surface. Focused on your work, you doodled. I'd probably be focusing. I'm here to do work. There was no time to lose. You were at the library with people you knew, but you couldn't afford to let that distract you. You checked the requirements on the homework sheet your teacher had given you, then opened up your textbook to the pages you needed. After some time, Cove shifted in his seat, twisting his back as if trying to work knots out of it. Feeling cooped up? Yeah, I'm gonna get up for a little while. Hey man, I'm gonna stay here, making good progress. I will come with you and we can play hide and seek in the library. Might as well take the opportunity to refresh yourself before getting back to work. The two of you strolled away from where you had been working. Your eyes roamed over the titles of books as you passed by. Some were dull, some intriguing, and others were just strange. but you didn't spot anything that made you pause to pick it up.
Looking for something?
The reading assignment is more than enough, always. No, but something might catch my eye. Probably that. That's kind of what I do. You never know.
I might get out of here. There's enough time.
His comment reminded you of the clock ticking away. Even after you'd finished your work for the summer, the countdown to the new school year would still be on track. Before you know it, we'll be back at class.
Yeah. Just got out, and it's almost here again.
Are you looking forward to going back? Cove gave a wry smile.
No. Still never want summer to end.
He wistfully let his gaze go distant. He wrapped his arms around himself. He weren't sure if his longing was for the beach or for the concept of summer itself.
Summer means you can do whatever you want. Wish everything wasn't always decided for me. I want to grow up already.
Oh, no, you don't. Cove didn't feel safe knowing it was others who really determined what his life was like. You understood that much.
New classes, new teachers, new people. Much.
He raked a hand through his hair before brightening up.
But if we get to be in the same classes, that'd be cool.
I'd like that. A smile spread across his face, crinkling his eyes.
But what about you? You want to go back to school already?
Yeah, I'm ready for school to start. No, I don't want summer to end either. I like summer, but I'm ready to go back to school. I liked my breaks, and I still do. It made you stressed just to think about it. Cove nodded, obviously getting where you were coming from. There was really no getting away from the topic of school right now. It prompted you to think back to the classes you were in. You pursed your lips. History class was the one you were looking forward to. English was enjoyable. Math kept your attention. Science fascinated you. You wanted to enroll in the art class. You didn't like any of them. I would probably say art would be me. It wasn't mandatory at your school, but you definitely hoped to participate. I also like English. You liked the books we had to read in English class. The writing assignments were engaging too. History class is pretty good. There's so much out there to learn when it comes to the past. It would take ages to know everything, and I'm gonna be good there as far as my classes go. Each lost in your own thoughts, you continued to stroll through the library for a little while longer, until Cove caught your attention again.
Should probably head back.
Yeah, let's go. Before you could take a step back, Cove cleared his throat, avoiding your gaze.
Thanks for listening before.
Anytime, it's cool, you're welcome, don't make a habit of it. Like, again, anytime. Cove smiled, his cheeks pink. You jerked your head towards where Derek had been left studying. Time to get back to work. Cove and you rejoined with Derek and settled back in as quietly as you could manage. Work continued as normal from there. The sound of shuffling dragged you out of your head. You looked up, surprised to see Derek packing up. You're done? Derek casually shrugged. You could tell he felt proud to be the first finished.
Uh-huh. Told you it wasn't anything hard, man.
Mine was that easy. Was it even worth coming to the library for that? What are you going to do now? I want to know what he's going to go do. And like maybe we can ditch the library and go do something fun. Not that this isn't exhilarating. I wondered how Derek was going to spend his newfound freedom.
I could look over what you're doing, man. Maybe I got some tips that'll help.
That'd be great. No thanks. You nodded your head yes. You shook your head no. Probably just nod. Like help me with my math. Well, Derek, with a smile, Derek leaned over your part of the table. He took some time to get the gist and point you in the right direction before turning it back over to you. Derek leaned back on his feet.
Hey, I'm gonna look around while you guys finish. See you, man.
Bye. Later on, Cove shifted in his seat, closing his book as he looked over the notes he'd been taking. Glancing away, you contemplated what you had done this far too. You had finished everything, you had finished most of the assignments. You'd say there was about half left, you still had a long way to go. I'm probably going to say most, because it said it was summer and it was early, so let's say most. You were pleased with what you'd accomplished. Next time, you could focus on what you had left. Derek's advice made it easier in the end.
Are you about ready? It's almost 4.
Yeah, I think so. Come on. The both of you gathered up your books, and after returning the ones you'd used for reference to the proper shelves, set off to find wherever Derek had wandered off to. He was in the biography section. His back was to the two of you, one hand above his head and the other supporting himself against the shelf as he strained to grab one of the books. Hey, Derek, we're ready.
Okay.
Gay man.
He glanced towards the sound of your voice, then up towards the shelf he was trying to reach. I can get that for you. Followed his gaze and then took the book off the shelf for him. I am short. I can't get that for you. Want me to get the librarian?
Oh, no, man, it's okay. I just wanted to flip through it anyway.
And then, the three of you moved to the front of the library to wait for your rides. You stood close to the window and let out a content sigh, feeling the rays warm you from the slightly chilly library interior. Wish our assignments were more exciting. Stared into space, got any plans? We're all hanging out. Let's go hang out.
I work on my technique, man. Can't get rusty while school's out.
That answer was inevitable. Technique for what?
Football. How about you two, man?
You considered the question, mostly in case your moms had something penciled in for the evening that you'd forgotten. Nothing planned.
Oh, me neither. Oh, that's my dad's car, man.
Derek lifted a hand to wave, pushing the door open and heading towards the blue pickup truck waiting in the parking lot.
See ya, French fries. Bye, man.
You watched Derek jog off before scanning the area for your mom. Did you get everything done? Yeah, I'd probably hey, was this meeting productive for you? Sort of!
I saw you're basically done.
He smiled, impressed. You felt pretty good about that. I feel like I'll need to come back to the library again before summer's over.
I'll come with you. I still have those books to read anyway.
Smiled at the idea. Despite not working on the same thing, it'd be nice for you to have some company. I'm good with that. Hey, you want to do something with me after this?
Oh, sure.
Cove seemed eager towards the offer. You hadn't exactly expected him to say no, but the agreement still made you happy. The two of you smiled at each other. It wasn't long before you spied your mom's car coming down the road. There she is.
Time to go.
You climbed into the car, sliding in your usual seats and buckling the belts. Hey, kiddos, did you get a lot done? Yeah.
Nice.
The car shifted into action and you watched as the library shrunk into the distance. It wouldn't be the last time you saw it this summer. Even better, you were going to have good company with you. You were already counting down the days. You fielded questions from Mom while you tried to juggle a conversation with Cove. When she learned that you two were planning on returning, she immediately offered to give you a ride next time. You continued to answer Mom's questions about what you'd been working on. Then you told her about your plans to stick with Cove after getting back. Soon enough, the trip was over. You had a ride back in your neighborhood. Cove would run over to his house real quick to drop his stuff off. You also made a pit stop to put your backpack away before heading out again. The two of you regrouped in the middle of the road, halfway between your houses. With everything wrapped up, you could now freely enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Your conversation resumed as you both began walking down the street together. The afternoon came and went. Dinner was eaten, and you were cleaning up the dishes left behind. Cove had elected to stay for the meal today. He passed you a couple plates to rinse in the sink. Even though he didn't have to, Cove asked to do at least something to help. You scrubbed the last of them and let out a satisfied sigh. Okay, they're done. I'm going upstairs now. You addressed your guests for the evening. You coming with me?
I don't have to go back till later.
Take it easy, kids. Thanks for your help. When you got back to your room, you noticed your backpack from earlier. You figured it would be best to unpack the stuff you needed before going to bed. Cove plopped into the desk chair and it spun around a bit as he got comfortable. He watched you contentedly as you walked across the room. He didn't need or expect you to try to entertain him constantly. It was just nice to be near each other, even when nothing was going on. You hefted your bag up to the bed, sunk into the comforter. With that, you started sorting through books and paper packets. Not all of it were things you'd need anytime soon. A small pile of the most important assets began to grow at the side of your backpack until you'd gone over it all. You had actually finished flipping through the contents, but it wasn't all of your work. You instinctively pulled the opening closer to you and peered inside. A second look commenced, and then a third, and then you began to open the smaller pockets. You were missing your math assignment. God damn it, French fires! Leaving your shit at the library? What the fuck is wrong with you?
French fires?
By this point, Cove could tell something was wrong. That was part of your summer work that you had gotten done, and now it was gone. It hadn't been that noteworthy before, but the bag wasn't really zipped when you first began looking through. The work could have fallen out somewhere, if you had it in the first place. You were upset, but made yourself stay calm. Started to panic, all you could do was shrug. Your stress level shot up. Well, that's true. Oh, it's best to think positively. You felt paralyzed. I mean, I would be super stressed. But I would also try to stay calm. Let's go there. You caught the problem early. There was still time to make it right. You couldn't lose your head. My math work isn't in my backpack. At your word, Cove jumped out of his seat.
Oh crap! Is there somewhere we could look?
The bag was kind of open, so... He winced sympathetically. That left a lot of options for where it might be, most of them bad. You resolved to check the spot the backpack was originally left in. It couldn't hurt to look. With nothing in sight there, you expanded the search to the rest of the space. Cove did his best to stay out of your way while keeping an eye open for your missing work. It was a fruitless effort. Your assignment wasn't there.
Let's check downstairs. It might still be in the house someplace.
Fine. Why, hello again. Is everything all right? Told your mom what was going on. Gave a rambly explanation of the situation. You answered her with a raised voice. I do ramble. No, I did it. But when I was getting it out of, it wasn't there, and I don't know.
What?
My schoolwork, it's missing. This was definitely getting to you. You have things that you want to do, that you need to do, and instead you have to worry about this. What's missing? An assignment for school from the library today. Mom's eyebrows raised with concern at the answer. Oh, that's a pickle. I'll call right now. I think they might still be open. Thanks, Mom. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna help. Yeah, well, I would say thanks. Like, thanks, Mom. Just leave it to me. Cove, honey, can you tell us if there was anything you noticed? You were with French Fires, right?
I saw the assignment when French Fires had it out at the library. I didn't remember her putting it away, but I'm pretty positive there was nothing left on the table when we were done.
He spoke resolutely. Before now, he hadn't considered that something might have been left behind. You had felt the same when leaving, though it was hard not to second-guess things right now. Your mom re-entered the seat a few minutes later. The look on her face was not promising. So I got a hold of the librarians. They didn't see any papers with your name on them. Not that they could see, anyway. I'm sorry. Thanks for trying. Okay, you had no reply. Thanks for trying. Of course. Sorry it was a bust. It's not your fault.
French fires, hey, let's go over to my house. I can check my bag. Maybe I took it when we were packing up and I didn't notice.
Good idea. I don't want to. All right, it's not going to be there. Well, you don't know that, party pooper. Let's go. Things were getting heavy here with your mom's worrying. Maybe he needed to get away from it, or maybe he thought you needed a chance to get away from it. Yeah, let's go. Cove nodded and made his way to the door. Your mom stood by with creased brows.
Take care, kids. Good luck.
Bye, Moms. You briskly made the trip across the street in less than a minute. You were going through the threshold of Cove's house. Cove had been in a rush earlier today, too. His backpack was tossed on the couch without a thought. No one had moved it since then.
You can sit down or anything. I'm gonna look.
He lifted up the backpack and unzipped it in a fluid motion. You were left to wait as he rooted around inside with an unexpected level of seriousness. You accepted his offer. It was actually starting to get to you. It's probably starting to get to me. You hadn't wanted to make this into a big deal, but if you didn't find it, if you had to do everything all over again, if you weren't able to get it done again, a knot formed in your stomach. You leaned closer, trying to get a peek into what he was seeing. Every second of not knowing made you more tense. Your impatience didn't go unnoticed. He tore through the contents rapidly, until Cove's eyes drifted from the opening of the bag and traced the length of the room's floor. His arm was still tucked away inside, but the search was over. Your heart sank. It was obvious there wasn't much of a chance Cove somehow had it this whole time, but you still wanted to hope. Finally, Cove lowered his backpack to the floor while slipping his arm out, and he wasn't empty-handed. Cove extended a few papers your way. Is he gonna give me his homework? Oh!
Here.
Your face flicked down at the assignment and then went right back up to his face. I called it! Just saying, I'm smart. The old noggin. Almost silent room. You could hear the slight crinkling of papers as his fingers gripped together. His expression was just as firm.
No, it's yours.
Thank you. Cove, I can't take that from you. I appreciate you want to help, but that's not okay. That's cheating. It is cheating, and I was literally thinking it in my brain. Are you sure? I'm just be like, man, I can't take your homework, bro.
Why not?
I mean,
That assignment and grades, they're important to you and, they're important to me, so...
He flatly dropped the papers at your feet, refusing to meet your eyes.
I think I did pretty good with it. The marks shouldn't be bad.
You thanked him for what he was trying to do. You hugged him. You insisted he shouldn't go through with it. I would probably give him a hug, like he is genuinely trying to help. Without another thought, you threw your arms over his shoulders, papers scattered. After a few seconds of stunned motionless, Cove returned the gesture and wrapped himself around you. Cove's consideration made you feel good. You felt terrible. You were teary-eyed over the gesture. I would probably cry. That's me. That's where we're gonna go. It was too much. The tear droplets began to sting in your eyes.
Don't cry, French fires.
He didn't let you go as he began to speak again.
Missing an assignment is something that doesn't bother me. I mean, you've known me long enough to see what does upset me.
That's true. That's true. Cove chuckled bashfully. You imagined he was taking a small stroll down memory lane to all the moments he'd been vulnerable with you in the past. He leaned his head into you affectionately. Then the moment was interrupted by the piercing ring of the Holdens' home phone. Wordlessly stared at one another with raised brows. Cove's mouth formed a tiny frown. Kira appeared from the hall, on the far side of the living room, summoned by the noise. Cove robotically took his arms off of you, pinning them securely against his sides instead. You don't know if she noticed or cared. He was embarrassed. Hi, Cove. Hi, French fires. I didn't know you were here. She strolled on past. Your eyes followed her. Cove's mom answered the call, giving a chipper greeting to whoever was on the other end. A few uh-huh and mms later, Kira thanked the person and placed the phone down once more. French fires, that was your ma. She said your stuff was in the car. That's what I was told. Now I'll just return to the guest room. You can have your privacy. Cove's face cycled from shock to sour as his mom made her escape, laughing. He shook the interruption off and refocused on you.
They've got it.
You were relieved, you were embarrassed, you couldn't believe it, you didn't know how to react. I would be straight up embarrassed at that. It was just in the car? That was humiliating. You were left speechless.
Got it.
Cove smiled crookedly and shrugged one shoulder.
She probably head to your house. Your moms might want to talk to you.
Yeah, my parents really care about me. They had kept searching even after you left. Because of that, it all worked out. Cove nodded in agreement. Cove, it means a lot that you stuck with me. Thanks. He brightened up with sparkling eyes.
Anytime, French fires.
While stepping towards the door together, there was a thought in your head that you knew to be true. You were going to be there for one another when it came to big things and small things.